Hi, I'm Sheree, and I'm back to share another way I like to cover old used plant pots and turn them into something cute. So if you're interested in another one of the ways I do that, stay tuned. These are the two pots we'll be making. One of them has a saying that somebody sent me on Facebook. I thought it was nice, so I wanted to give this to a dear friend of mine. I've made the saying in raised letters with the tacky glue. And the second pot I'm keeping for myself, so I'm just making that just for fun. So let's get started. You will need a plant pot, some paint, sealer, glue, masking tape, tissue paper or pattern paper, a knife, tacky glue, that's optional, and of course your imagination. I'll explain what I'm doing as we go along. Okay, I've washed my pot. You know, it doesn't really matter because you're going to put dirt in the inside, but fairly clean so that it's easy to work with. And now what I want to do is, because the rim won't be covered and you want to keep it fairly clean and not get paint all over it, I'm just covering the rim with masking tape. Let me see if I can do this backwards. It's going to be a bit hard. But just take some ordinary old masking tape and cover the parts of it that you don't want paint and glue and sealer to get on, because in the end we'll peel this off and this area will be nice and clean. So just cover it with tape. Now I put a row on this area and then just adhere it so it's nice and smooth. Then I also go back and put one on the top, just because while you're working with it, you're constantly grabbing the rim and your fingers will be messy, and it just saves having to clean it all off in the end. And at the end of the whole job, like I said, you just peel this all off and the rim of your pot will still be nice and clean. Smush it all in, and then even a third one. Oh goodness, I'll just put this here and then you can see what I mean. Even a third one, oops, there, on the inside. So put, tape all the way around here as well. Continue applying the masking tape until you completely covered both the inside and the outside of the rim. If your pot happens to be rimless, only tape the inside. You just want to keep the area clean so you don't get paint and sealer on it later. For the bottom, I just take some newspaper. Usually you try to double it. Just draw around the bottom of the pot. And you're going to cut it out about 1 centimeter or ½ an inch inside the circle you drew, because you want tape to be on the pot. You want to be able to tape it to the pot. If the paper and the bottom of the pot are the same exact size, you won't be able to tape this on. So 1 centimeter inside the line we've cut. Can you see? Okay. Inside the line we've cut, and then just take your masking tape and tape around the outside. This too is also done more easily in strips, because the circle is smaller. The dimension is smaller on the inside than it is on the outside, so you're going to have to pinch your tape as you go around. And basically this is only if you care what the bottom looks like. You might not even care. So what if you get paint on the bottom of your pot? No one's going to be looking down there, but I kind of like to keep it a bit clean. Also, because while it's sitting in water in your tray or whatever, you don't want paint chipping off, or you don't want the water to seep up into your artwork or into what we're making here. So it's best for it to be completely cut away, and the water is only touching the plastic. Continue to cover the rim of the pot with masking tape, and then do the same for the bottom. The pot is now protected from the paint, glue, and sealer. Okay, we start by using your PVA glue, and you paint the outside of the pot with glue. Now you can use any glue you want, craft glue, wood glue, any glue. I glue all the time, so I look for bargains. I buy my glue really cheaply by the liter. So it's up to you what kind of glue you use. Now here I'm taking old pattern paper. I also happen to be a hoarder, a neat hoarder though. Everything's in its place. But since I'm an ex-fashion designer, I have lots and lots of old pattern papers that I don't use. So I save that for stuff like this. Basically what I'm doing is, because it's hard to paint on plastic, or paint won't stick to plastic, I'm giving it another surface. I'm giving the paint another surface to stick to. So by gluing the pattern paper or tissue paper or newspaper or whatever type of paper you want to use on the outside of the plastic, this thin paper sticks quite easily to the plastic. Then, as you see later, we'll paint the paper, and then we can paint on top of it, and that will stick to the plastic, and it won't chip off like it would if we just painted straight on the plastic pot, if that makes any sense at all. But you'll see, it makes sense. Now, as you notice, I'm not trying to be neat or keep it smooth or anything, because actually that doesn't matter. Wet paper is going to wrinkle no matter how hard you try to keep it smooth. So I work with the wrinkles. And if you'll notice later on when I'm painting, I actually use the wrinkles as part of the artwork. I like to work with the pot upside down, especially if it's like this one with a rim. As you notice, I'm using my wet paintbrush full of glue to just stuff the excess tissue down into the rim of the pot. So therefore, once it's trimmed off and all glued, that won't show at all. Easy way to hide the excess. Just grab more tissue paper as you need it, tear off bits that you need, and glue it on top. It won't matter at all. None of this will show. It will all be painted over. Remember, we're just making a surface for the paint to stick to. Just make sure all the plastic is covered with the paper, because if you leave your pots outside like I do, if you have paint directly on the plastic in the weather, it will eventually chip. Just finish covering the entire pot with the tissue paper, and then give it a seal with the glue on the outside. The glue will harden it, giving it shape and form. When dry, it looks like this. Once the glue is dry, paint the tub white. You now have a canvas to paint on. I'll speed through this part of it because this is the part that calls for your imagination. I'm using watercolors to paint a landscape, but you use whatever medium you're comfortable with. So paint whatever you like. I'm just doing a simple landscape scene for the backdrop of the words that I'm going to put on my pot later on. Here I'm sealing my artwork with the spray sealer. This will prevent the watercolor from smearing later on when I seal it with the glue. The sealer is good to protect any sort of surface that might get damaged when moistened, like watercolor or the gift wrapping paper or the pages of the book. You don't really need it if your painting is in acrylics or oils. Once the spray sealer is dry, I then seal the pots with PVA or craft glue. I usually give it 2 coats of the PVA sealer, letting it dry in between each coat. This ensures that the entire pot is completely sealed in glue. When dry, the glue is completely clear. I use the tacky glue here to write the words. It will dry clear and give the words a 3D effect. I like to speed up the drying process as I write the words because I'm holding the pot, having the pot upright, even though the glue sort of stays where it is, it can seep a little bit and sort of seem like it's falling down. So I dry it with the blow dryer, and that keeps it in place as I go. I've transferred my glue into a smaller container with a pointy spout to make it easier to write with. It comes out at a glue consistency, maybe a little bit thicker, but if you play around with it, you'll soon get the hang of it. So just continue writing and blow drying it dry until you're finished. Once you let it dry, the writing will dry clear. And sorry, please excuse the TV in the background. I kept meaning to turn it down when I was taping, but obviously I forgot quite a bit. So here it is, all dry. The letters are clear, but raised and ready for painting. I painted the letters white with a black shadow for depth. Please come back for part 2, where we quickly make the second pot, seal both of them, clean them up, and finish.